As Russian forces make their way into Kyiv overnight, Ukraine's defense ministry is issuing a stark warning that Russian troops are disguising themselves as members of Ukraine's armed forces. Joining us now, former National Security Advisor John Hanna. John, thank you for being up first in the middle of the night as we cover the crisis in Eastern Europe. Take me, if you will, into the discussions the president and his national security team are having right now and what concerns them perhaps most at this hour.
Well, thank you, Griff. Listen, the president now, I think his team understands, especially if the United States and NATO are not going to actually intervene militarily in Ukraine, that the struggle for Ukraine, even though it's going better, I think, than people would have ever imagined, that the Russians appear to be having some trouble taking down Kiev and getting that puppet regime into the Ukrainian capital, that the struggle now is going to be one of weeks and months and even years. And therefore, you've seen the escalation in the sanctions to really begin to try and strangle the Ukrainian economy. They still have some of their powder dry. They haven't imposed the SWIFT sanctions, which would completely cut off Russia from the international financial community and probably begin to cripple Russia's critical energy exports, which are absolutely vital to its foreign currency reserves and ability to operate and import items into the country. I think they're looking, obviously, at how do they sustain lethal support to the Ukrainian insurgency, particularly if Russia begins eventually to grind away at the Ukrainian army and take control in the capital. They'll want to figure out how do they now sustain for weeks and months and years flows of lethal equipment, explosives, humanitarian aid support to a genuine, full-blown Ukrainian guerrilla insurgency. I think, we need to focus on what the president's going to do on Tuesday in that State of the Union. It is going to be an absolutely critical speech for President Biden.
So what would you be advising him, John, to say? What does he need to hit in that speech on this crisis?
Well, I think he needs to hint that the post-Cold War era is over, that the central assumption of the post-Cold War era was that there is no Russian conventional military threat anymore to Europe. The full force invasion of Ukraine with 200,000 Russian soldiers has put an end to that. Putin's speech earlier this week put an end to that, where he made clear that his ambitions and objectives to reestablish the Russian imperial empire don't end at Ukraine. They extend much further than that to the old frontiers of the Russian empire. Yep. So I think the president's going to have to say something, in fact, about our own defense budget.
And John,
whatever budget they had in place, they got to throw it out, and we've got to see a significant increase in our defense budget and a return to some kind of doctrine of being ready and willing to fight on two major fronts in both Europe and China.
Yeah, we'll see. Now, just in the last 30 seconds we've got, John, I do want to ask you, as we see Ukrainian Americans protesting, taking to the streets from coast to coast, asking President Biden to do more, short answer here, is there more the president could be doing right now?
For sure, on sanctions, he can go to SWIFT and cut the Russians off from the international financial community and really begin to cripple their oil exports, oil and gas exports, which obviously is going to hurt us and hurt Americans in our pocketbooks, not to mention our allies in Europe.
All right. Former National Security Advisor John Hanna, up late or early, depending on how you look at it. John, thank you very much.
Thanks, Griff.
Republican Senator Marco Rubio praising President Biden for calling out Russian false flag operations ahead of the invasion of Ukraine. Rubio also saying transparency from the Biden administration is a big step in helping build global trust. But not all Republicans are pleased with how the president has handled the situation. We are joined now by former White House official Roma Duravi under the Trump administration. Roma, thank you for taking time. I want to get your thoughts on really, we've heard forever that politics stops at the shore. What do you make of what Rubio is saying?
Well, thank you for having me on tonight. I will just start by saying that we really are keeping the people of Ukraine in our prayers today, and we are fully supportive as the United States of their very fierce fight that they're putting forth right now. It's very important to realize that Russia's invasion is pure evil and would never have happened under the leadership of President Donald Trump. I won't speak on behalf of the entire Republican Party. There is obviously going to be some disagreements in what has happened over the last few days with U.S. leadership in this situation, but it is extremely serious that the entire world right now is not viewing America as a leader, and because of that, we are seeing our allies taken advantage of by really just the worst of our adversaries overseas.
Roma, we saw President Zelensky throw a little shade even at Biden, trying to push him into further action to help Ukraine. But could a united Republican message help Biden at this moment, help Ukraine?
Well, I think the message needs to be what it was over 4 years of the Trump administration, and that is one of peace through strength. We have to present ourselves as the strong leader nation that we are in America, or you're going to see more of this terrible invasion happening with different adversaries. It's Russia first. It could be China next. And, you know, by the grace of God, we hope that Iran is not the third on that list. This is not what we need to be experiencing as a country. We have enough going on as a nation here at home to focus on. But of course, we cannot forget our allies overseas. So it's extremely important that we take back the power as Americans. We need to be energy independent. There is absolutely no reason that we should be relying on Russian energy, Russian oil, when we have all of the resources right here in our homeland.
Roma, we have to leave it there. Thank you for your time tonight. And we'll continue to check in with you as the story develops. Roma, thank you very much.